Hey guys, Kurtis Parks here, and you are watching Worshipology. Well, today I'm actually coming to you from the beach. I'm down just outside of Destin, Florida. I love getting away, coming to the beach, and just enjoying a new habitat to see God's presence at work. In fact, yesterday I took a long walk down the beach and I just began to pray, and I felt God's presence overwhelm me in a new and fresh way. And I was just reminded of how much I value God's presence in my life. In fact, one of the things that I always say is that in worship, it's a place where God's presence and His people connect. Without God's presence, we're just normal, we're just average, we're just natural. But when His presence shows up on the scene, we have an opportunity to experience the supernatural. And today I was just reminded in 1 Chronicles chapter 13 of King David and how much he valued God's presence and what that brought in his life. In fact, it says in 1 Chronicles chapter 13 verse 3, now David is addressing commanders of hundreds and of thousands to get back the Ark of the Covenant. Now we know that in the Old Testament, the Ark of the Covenant actually represented God's presence. And so he says this in 1 Chronicles chapter 13, verse 3, let us bring the ark of our God back to us, for we did not inquire of it during the reign of Saul. The whole assembly agreed to this because it seemed right to all the people. You see, what had happened was Saul was a king chosen by the people. David was a king chosen by the Lord. And during Saul's reign, he didn't really value God's presence. We see this happen throughout his reign because we obviously know that it doesn't end well for Saul. He actually falls on his own sword in battle because he's been defeated. And that was actually after this time where he was supposed to wait for the prophet of the Lord to show up to do a sacrifice to God and inquire of the Lord. But Saul moved often in his own strength and on his own timing. But David was somebody that valued God's presence from the time that he was a shepherd in the fields to the day that he breathed his last. Praise was always on David's lips, and he always valued God's presence. And we see that here in 1 Chronicles chapter 13. So we know that it doesn't end well for Saul. And in fact, this is a great insight to that, because during the reign of Saul, he never inquired about the ark. The ark was taken by the Philistines, and David, one of the first things that he really wanted to do when he was king was say, hey, let's get the presence of God back in the heart of the people. But he doesn't actually do that immediately. They go and capture the ark, and then we know what happens with Uzzah as he reaches out his hand. God strikes him dead because he didn't honor the word of the Lord. And David got a little angry, and he got afraid because God struck down Uzzah for steadying the ark. And they actually take it to this place called Obed-Edom. And this guy, he's a priest, and the ark remains with his house for 3 months. And it says the Lord blessed his household and everything that he had. See, wherever God's presence is, blessing comes alongside that. And as the people rejoiced and they were excited when God's ark was restored, we also see that where there's God's presence, there's freedom, there's rejoicing, and there's blessing. So in our times of worship, let's not get so busy picking out song sets and plugging in chords and worrying about all the ins and outs of what happened during a service that we miss the opportunity to really be in God's presence and illuminate that to people that may have never experienced that before. Just remember that in worship, especially musical worship, it's a place where God's presence and His people connect. Let's never miss that as worship leaders. Hey, thanks for watching.